Hi, hello, and welcome everyone to a how to craft video. And this time we will be talking about Zoom Blade Vortex gear, and specifically we will be talking about temple gloves that I have right here with double attributes and movement speed belt, elevated unaffected by ignite boots, and explodey body armor. Like and subscribe. So let's start with the gloves. Basically, what I've been doing is I've been buying these bases from other players with a temple mod. It doesn't matter which one, right? So it's either crit chance against shocked enemies, fire damage against burning enemies, and then the thing that we actually want is damage with hits against chilled enemies. You can change these modifiers later with Harvest by changing the resistance. If you change the fire resistance into cold, it will become this mod right here, which is cold resistance and damage against chilled enemies. And this is what we want. So we start with this base, right? We buy with 2 open suffixes, or ideally it would have one tier 1 attribute already on the item. You can do this before omniscience, right? You can do it with normal resistances and stuff like that. But since I'm using omniscience and I'm crafting for omniscience, I'm gonna explain how to do this for omniscience gear, which is attributes. Okay, so we get this base. It doesn't matter if it's lightning, fire resistance, or cold. Then we take another pair of gloves. I've been picking up these bases, Hydra Scale Gauntlets and Dragon Scale Gauntlets, the 2 highest bases of armor and evasion hybrid gloves, because I want a chance to hit spell suppression, right? In the off chance that I don't hit what I need, I might hit something that sells for a lot of money. So basically, you take 2 gloves, right? 2 bases, your desired base. And then I like to use the intelligence one because you cannot get intelligence normally. So by using the intelligence essence, we have a chance of hitting tier 1 strength or tier 1 dexterity. That one didn't hit. Okay. So the other one, because this one doesn't have anything else, the other one we want to do strength or dexterity. So one more thing to know, that dexterity for some reason has a 1 tier higher tier, right? Like tier 2 dexterity is equivalent to tier 1 strength. Instead of using dexterity, I prefer to use strength essence on the other pair. That's basically what I do. I just slam an essence on 2 pairs of gloves. Then we go into the recombinator. We put them in, recombine, and hope that we get 2 intelligence and strength mods together. Unfortunately, this one completely bricked, and that happens. Then we go get more gloves. Okay, we go again, slap intelligence. That hit some strength, but that doesn't really matter. And then we go for strength here, and that hit. Wait, is that tier 1? That is tier 1 spell suppression. Okay, well, that's interesting. That is very interesting. Basically, so the goal of these first recombinators, right, it is to get 2 desirable modifiers. In our case, that would be double essence attributes. And then once we do that, we combine that item with the temple mod item. And this is not what I'm going for usually, but it's an interesting outcome. Might as well try our luck. Okay, yeah, sure, let's just try it. Bada bang, bada boom. See what we get. Okay. Okay. Oh no. Okay, so the temple mod is gone, but we still kept the tier 1 suppression, tier 1 strength. Well, essence strength. Okay. Okay. Well, wait. I have another pair of gloves. Okay. Another temple mod. Okay. I believe that good things happen eventually. Bada bang, bada boom. Well, okay, well, that happens, right? So at least we didn't break the temple mod. It's still there. So technically we can go again. Okay, so I have these gloves, tier 1 strength, tier 1 life. Okay, this one has strength, intelligence. Sure, combine that together. Yeah. What do we get? Intelligence, strength. Life gain on hit. We lost the life, but it's okay. So basically we have 2 mods that we want on the suffix, and we go again. Here we put in the temple mod, we put in the double attributes, and we did not get it. I can already see that we did not get it. But that's actually not a terrible outcome, right? So this has an open suffix, intelligence, and temple mod. So this is already usable, right? This is already a buff. Yeah, no, we have to go again. We just have to go again. We have to go again. Okay, another pair of gloves. I'll take that. Wait, no, dragon scale, and we have intelligence here. So let's just do strength. Okay, tier 2 suppression. Interesting. Sure. Right. So I'll link down a link in the description about the Recombinator crafting. I just learned this recently. Basically, the doubling of the mod, even if it's crafted, it's better because it increases the chances and stuff. Okay, we craft strength. Okay, we craft strength. Because it can only choose strength once. We technically increase the chances of rolling strength. But it could be, then it's a 50-50 between crafted strength and not crafted strength. But if it is the crafted strength, right, it's technically not a bricked item because we can go again. I don't know if I should do that. You know what? Until now, I didn't do any of this fancy schmancy 5000 IQ plays. I was just getting 2 mods that I want and then smashing them together, and it worked out pretty well. I crafted a few of them. Right, so like this one, this one, this one. Right, it works. It definitely works. It's not super consistent, but it does happen quite often, like quite reliably. So just go. Just go. Whatever happens, happens. If we lose the gloves, we lose the gloves. If we don't, we win. Okay, what do we get? Intelligence, temple mod. Okay. Okay, well, not bricking, but not winning either. Ooh, this one has tier 1 dexterity. And tier 1 cauldron as well. Sure. Sure. Let's go with that. Boom. Come on. Temple mod. Reach. Okay, dude. Basically, you get the idea, right? It's technically like 1 in 5 chance to get your 3 prefixes, or rather 3 suffixes, 3 mods that you're putting together. Something among those lines, right? 1 in 5. Well, that's another tier 1 dex. Tier 1 dex and tier 2 strength. I mean, this is my last recombinator, so might as well try that one. Let's try that one. Yeah, sure. What is it? Well, it's usable. Not ideal though. Resistance is not great. But technically, I think that's still profit. Like, I think I stop here. Yeah, it's like... Okay, so, okay, let's just say this is what happens, right? You get your 3 mods, you don't get your 3 mods, but let's just say you have 3 suffixes done, and these are, like, okay gloves, so let's just say that this is what... it is what it is, right? One option would be to just go and craft life. I am very rich, as you can see. I cannot afford that, but you could do that for 4 alchemies, and that would be already a pretty decent usable item. What I've been doing, however, is I apply 1 Eldritch Implicit, right? And then I use an Eldritch Chaos Orb. So this says, if Searing Exarch is dominant, reroll prefix modifiers, right? Your suffixes are safe, and this will reroll only the prefixes. So since this one already has 2 modifiers, it is not worth trying to do the Eldritch Annuls. If it would only have 1 modifier, then yes, then I would probably do an Eldritch Annul and then an Eldritch Exalt and try to do that way. Try to get life that way. But I don't have the exalts anyway, so let's just do Eldritch Chaos. Boom, we get 69 energy shield. Since this is an energy shield base, that's actually a decent outcome. It is a pretty low energy shield base though, so I'm not sure if that's keepable. Let's just slam another one. Oh, wow, nice. Okay, tier 2 life, some energy shield, lightning damage attacks. So again, this is not ideal because we don't have an open prefix. And luckily, we have an Eldritch Orb of Annulment. If the Searing Exarch is dominant, remove a prefix modifier. And since this is only affected by the Searing Exarch implicit, right, the red influence that we just applied, we can safely annul a prefix. Hopefully, it's not going to remove life, but we do need an open prefix, so gotta try our luck. Good luck. There we go. That removed the best mod it could have removed because Energy Shield actually is, you know, more defense. So there we go. That's a pretty nice pair of gloves. And then I have this craft. Increase damage during any flask effect. That's pretty universal, right? So for selling, for using, that's pretty good. Alternatively, actually the better mod for this build specifically, it would be increased damage while leeching, because we're leeching all the time. And that's some petrified blood stuff, but whatever. We're leeching all the time, so that would be more damage consistently all the time, even if we don't have flasks on single target and whatever. I should actually mention about implicits, right? So implicits, what we're using is inflict cold exposure on hit and chance to unnerve enemies for 4 seconds on hit. I'm using the lowest ones because literally it doesn't really matter if it's high or not. For the unnerve, really doesn't matter. We hit a lot of times per second, so 15% chance is enough. The cold exposure, sure, it would be better if we had higher, but it's a few percent. Eventually I'll get it. I didn't get it when I was rolling it for my gloves, so I just had to do it with the lowest ones, whatever. But basically, yeah, you just there we go. Unnerve, that was easy. And then exposure, please. Fire exposure. Cold exposure, there we go. Quite lucky on the implicits, actually. Yep, that's pretty good. So there you go. That's definitely a usable pair of gloves. Honestly, not too lucky, not too unlucky, average outcome, because we did get a bit unlucky on the suffixes, but we did get quite lucky on the prefixes. Implicits, yeah, overall average luck. Honestly, nothing too crazy. That's how you craft the gloves. We didn't get the perfect outcome for the gloves, but that's the base idea, and you just sell this, get another base, and try your luck at another base. Now let's move on to the belt. And again, with the same principle, right? The same idea, we want double attributes. So we take this, we slam intelligence, and then we use a recombinator, put them in together. Boom. Do we get it? Got the strength, last duration. No, we didn't get it. So we take another one, intelligence, and slam them again. I'll just take it out. Okay, we bricked the strength. A bit unlucky this time around, honestly. So this one, let's do dexterity. Okay, recombine. Pop. Now it's dexterity, no intelligence. Okay, well, I don't have any more Stygian Vices, but basically, it's the same idea, right? So you do this until you get double attributes. You use one Essence of Insanity on another Stygian Vice. You get movement speed during any flask effect, and then you combine the double attributes with movement speed, and the outcome, the desired outcome, is something like this, where you get double attributes and movement speed. And then for the prefixes, the ideal scenario, like the absolute ideal scenario, to do suffixes cannot be changed, reforge life until you get acceptable life, and then you Redeemer Exalted Orb Slam, right? And that has a chance, a pretty decent chance, like I think it's honestly like 30% chance to hit increased damage with hits against chilled enemies, and that would be really, really good. It also has a chance to hit percent increased call damage, that would also be pretty decent. And then the last option is increased evasion. So on my belt, I got unlucky. I slammed evasion, which is useless, but it is what it is. Crafted life, right? If you're on a budget, can't really be picky, so just craft life, whatever, it works. The important thing is the attributes, and then movement speed is a bonus. You know, I'm I'm pushing movement speed on this build, so it is kind of important for me. I have my belt also improved with speed catalysts to get 2% more movement speed here. Same idea. Combine 2 belts with essence mods until you have 1 item with double essence mod, and then you combine that double essence mod item with another item that you use your essence of insanity on to get the movement speed, and you're trying to hit double attributes movement speed. Let's move on to the boots. Let's go into Craft of Exile for that. We want to get elevated unaffected by burning ground because it gives unaffected by ignite. So how do we get this? Quite easily. Basically, I choose Warlord base. We also could go for Shaper, that also has unaffected by burning ground, and same elevation here. But I find it that this is a bit easier to get 2 influence modifiers because it has more fire tags. And okay, so how do we do this? So we basically add these, and suffixes are separate, so I'm not going to include that. But basically, it's like 1 in 20 if you do a scorched fossil, right? Just 1 scorched fossil, nothing fancy. So that's very cheap to get 2 influence mods right there. And if you add the suffixes into the mix, it's even better than 1 in 20. So very, very simple, right? And then when you have 2 mods, you want unaffected by burning ground, and any other influence mod works, right? Like any of these work. Let's go into the emulator real quick. Warlord. So this one is gonna be the good base, right? Because this is the easy to make base. You can craft it yourself, elevate it yourself. So you want to get a high item level base ideally. So on your boots, you also want to hit dexterity or intelligence, another attribute. Spell suppression would be also good, probably for selling more than using, but that's 82, 82, 85. So ideally, you want level 85 or 86 base. But if it's too expensive, you know, you can always just go down and lower your standards a little bit. So let's go into the emulator. Let's go 85. Warlord. Proceed. Right. We make it rare. Then go fossils. Scorched. What's that? Okay, so Scorched gives us more fire and no cold. It blocks a few mods. And you just do that, right, until you hit unaffected by burning ground. Okay, unaffected by burning ground. But no other influence mods, so we just keep going. It's not a super rare modifier, so it's okay. Okay, there we go. Unaffected by burning ground. 30% movement speed. And then chance to avoid being stunned. So you get to this point, very simple, very easy. Then we need an Orb of Dominance. Removes 1 influence modifier from an item with at least 2 influence modifiers and upgrades another influence modifier. So we want to see this unaffected by burning ground turn into unaffected by ignite, and chance of avoid being stunned be gone, please. Okay, that didn't happen, and it's a 50-50 chance, right? RNG is RNG, so you just go back to fossils and continue your scorched adventures until you hit it again. That happened to me as well. Okay, so this one has 3 warlord modifiers. In this case, I would like to annul. Unlucky. All right, keep going. It is what it is. I mean, yup. And that is very similar to what happened when I was crafting my boots. Actually, almost 1-to-1. Actually, 1-to-1. I guess you could say that this is the expected outcome then. Again, affected by burning ground, but nothing else. Need 2 modifiers, please. Okay, unaffected by burning ground. Again, nothing else. Unaffected by burning ground. No other warlord mods. It's a lot easier to see in game, actually. This is very hard to read what you get on the item. Okay, if his damage is extra fire, unaffected by burning ground. Again, 3 warlord modifiers. Unfortunately, we have to annul. And this time we succeed. Okay, so unaffected by burning ground. Avoid. It says warlord right here, right? That you can make sure that it's a warlord mod. And then we Orb of Dominance. Boom. Failed again. Basically, you have to do that until you hit unaffected by ignite, right? So in this tool, we have an undo button. Hopefully, we don't have to use that in game since we don't have that. So I wish you all the best of luck crafting this. Yeah, Some people I've heard had a bit of a bad RNG streak here. For me personally, it happened in the third one or the second one. Once you have that, then you need an Awakener's Orb and another pair of boots with Tailwind. I have elevated Tailwind, but that is honestly not worth the money. Like, it's nice, sure, but just Tailwind is enough. It's like 1x for the base, maybe 2x. Any base actually works, right? We just need Tailwind just to be safe. Okay, so we have to make sure that it's single influence and that it is the only influence modifier. Okay, so these would work, right? So that's 1x. We go slightly higher. So it's like 1 to 1.5 exalts, right? Yep. And then you do Awakener Orb, because this is the good base. You first click on the Tailwind boots and then onto these Unaffected by Ignite boots. And you combine them. And then if you have an open prefix, you craft movement speed, chance to gain onslaught on kill. If you don't have an open prefix, then it's unfortunate, and that happened to me as well. With my first pair of boots, I did not have movement speed, and this build was still pretty fast, right? Like, it was very fast still, actually. Movement speed is huge, but don't stress about it if it doesn't happen on your first pair of boots. It's okay. You can play the build. It works. The most important thing is to get unaffected by Ignite. Actually, like, if you're giga budget, just get unaffected by Ignite and just craft movement speed. Whatever is fine. And then slowly you can upgrade, right? Okay, that's it about the boots. Let's move on to the body armor. So this is as well a double influenced item. You have the Awakener Orb, 2 mods together. And it's pretty much the same as boots, but you don't have to do any elevation here. At least to start with, you shouldn't. I still don't have it. I still don't need it. I'm working on it. It's gonna happen, but this is all you need. You need +1 curse and tier 1 explodey and tier 1 spell critical strike chance. So how do we get that? You want to buy a 6-link sacrificial garb, level 100, because you can get that from cards, or you could buy the cards and then get that like that, right? It will have no influences. So then you will have to buy a Hunter's Exalted Orb, which is around 1 exalt, and slam it on your body armor. Go into Harvest and reforge Caster. It will guarantee either spell crit or additional curse, and you want to roll that until you get just +1 curse and no other influence modifiers on the item. Then again, we go into the search, explode, is 10th. This one, right? And minimum 21. So we need tier 1, right? That's 2.5x, 2.6x, 2.7x. It's not too cheap, but it's definitely worth the money. Definitely worth the money. I can tell you how I crafted a few of those myself. It's pretty simple, honestly. Just get a Crusader, the level 85 and above. Any base, right? It doesn't matter if it's armor, evasion, energy shield. It doesn't matter at all. And then I'm farming harvest, right? I'm farming maps and find a harvest. And then whenever I find a reforge physical or a reforge including a physical mod, and more likely to get more physical mods, this is where I use them, on these bases. And I've hit quite a few tier 1, more tier 2s, of course. And currently, right now, I'm trying to get a tier 1 explodey with another influence mod. I got it once, and I failed my Orb of Dominance. So I'm not giving up. I keep going, right? And eventually it will happen. I will get elevated. But that would be how I would recommend doing it. So there are 2 easiest ways of acquiring explodey. One would be to go harvest, reforge physical. And second one would be to go fossils and use jagged fossils because it has more physical modifiers and explodey is a physical modifier. Or, well, I mean, the easiest way is just to buy it, right? You just buy it from other players. That's the fastest way, the easiest way. And then you just Awakener Orb together, the +1 curse and this one. Make sure that you first click on the bad base and then on the good base so that you don't lose your 6-link. Once you do that, if you will look at my body armor and the prefixes, we have explodey, we have +1 curse, and then I got, I guess you could say lucky or unlucky. I got physical damage from hits taken as lightning damage. It's good for physical damage mitigation. And then you just do prefixes cannot be changed and reforge caster, and that guarantees a spell critical modifier. It doesn't guarantee a tier 1 modifier, but it does guarantee spell critical strike chance, and even tier 2 is usable, especially if you're using Assassin's Mark. On single target, you will have 100% crit chance anyway. But ideally, of course, tier 1 would be the best. And then, since this is an Omniscience build, I crafted percent attributes. I as well have quality does not increase defenses and grants +1 to maximum life per 2% quality. That gives me 15 life. So that's, you know, whatever. You can get that from Harvest. Not a big deal. If you don't have it, you have a bit more armor, energy shield, but life is nice. So I got the life. And then I guess I quickly could mention the ring, right? So I bought this ring. I didn't craft this ring. Because +1 maximum power charges, and that is a very rare modifier, and I got this for 9 exalts. So like, yeah, definitely was worth paying that much. I divined it now, so now it's very nice. It's 69. It's double nice. It's very nice. So power charges, that's a very rare modifier that you can only get by recombining 2 items, right? You can only get that by recombinator action. Sometimes the resultant item is modified unpredictably, and that unpredictable outcome is +1 power charge. It can be, I think, +1 frenzy, +1 power, and +1 endurance charge. I don't know if there are modifiers that you can get, but those 3 I know that you can definitely get on rings. Okay, so how do you get +1 power charges, right? So I've heard that people are taking white rings, right? Like no mods on them, and then craft a suffix, and then just recombine them together. Basically, if you have an open prefix, there's a chance that the item will gain a Sentinel modifier. So either you combine random rings together and hope to get power charge, and then combine that with double attributes, or you could just combine rings with singular essence attribute modifiers and then hope that you get an open prefix in the end outcome, and then that you will get lucky and get +1 power charge. Or you could just buy it if you're in Trade League. I mean, that's definitely a pretty safe and quick option. Anyway, that's gonna be it for the video. Hopefully that was helpful. And if you're playing my build, I hope you're having a blast, because I know I am. And upgrading it feels pretty nice. Blasting away the maps, the bosses. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I like it. Anyway, stay awesome and goodbye. Come over. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Bye.